everybody, welcome to the April 25th Raw review, also known as the WWE Annual Draft Review. Really, they didn't make much of this year. Usually it's a big thing advertised weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. Usually it's a 3-hour show. Usually, I don't know how it works in other countries, but usually it's a 3-hour show and it's bumped up by an hour on the score here in Canada. But this year they mentioned it offhand last week on Raw. They tried to make a bigger deal of it on SmackDown, even putting a commercial out there, but incredibly undersold. Basically there were two questions going into tonight's show. It was who was going to take the big name spot on SmackDown now that Edge is gone, and how will the drafts affect the matches at Extreme Rules. You know, nothing earth-shattering was going to happen to the pay-per-view, seeing as it's already mostly set. But, you know, they've developed their pattern over the last couple of years. You know, Raw versus SmackDown matches, whatever show wins the match gets a draft pick, gets 2 draft picks, etc., etc., etc. So we go in, the match starts, the show starts rather abruptly. The show starts, no entrance music, no preamble, no nothing. It starts in the middle of a 20-person battle royal between Team Raw and Team SmackDown. It's average. It's totally ruined by the fact that Cole spends the entire match selling himself and talking about how he has been affected by the draft when he's not a wrestler. The only thing really of note is there's a nice little bit of cruiserweight action between Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne towards the end of the match that doesn't really amount to anything, but it is nice. I have an opinion about the cruiserweights. I'm going to be making a video of it eventually. I was meant to do it this week, did not get it done. I got into being busy with way too much other stuff. Anyways, Team SmackDown wins the first fall and drafts Cena to SmackDown, which makes me the happiest kid alive, does it not? I'm sorry, I turned from my computer, from my TV, which is back there, to my computer, which is here, fast enough to give myself whiplash, writing about that and gloating about that on Facebook. Would live to deny it, or regret it later on, but that's fine, that's whatever. It's announced that Cole is going to fight JR on Raw tonight, which is always good. They recap the Truth Morrison, the R-Truth heel turn from last week, which I am already on record as saying I think is awesome. R-Truth then comes out, starts telling off the crowd with the typical heel spiel about I used to do all this stuff for the fans and it didn't get me anything. I used to pander to the kids and it didn't get me any titles, and they do the what thing, which that Austin started years and years ago. Little side thought, Austin did that what and got the crowd thing doing it like 10 years ago. Shows the impact that one guy had on the WWE, that they're still doing it now to piss off any heel that comes out to say anything. Morrison comes out and jumps Truth. It becomes a big brawl in the aisleway. Decent brawl, not just, you know, stupid one shot and everybody runs away, which is, you know, better than most. Another Awesome Kong promo that actually shows her face this time after she pops the head off of Barbie doll. I guess I can't call her Awesome Kong anymore because WWE has apparently named her Karma. And the temptation to go cliche and say Karma's a bitch is off the page. The next SmackDown vs. Raw match is Eve versus Layla. They do a flashback to the Lay Cool couples therapy bullshit over on SmackDown. Cole interrupts the match like an idiot as he makes his exit to go train for his match against JR. The match ends abruptly. Eve wins, but the fact that Raw just won a draft pick is completely overshadowed by Cole being an idiot and Lay Cool fighting after the match. Eventually we do find out that Raw has gained Rey Mysterio, which Rey Mysterio doesn't excite me as much as he would like to think. Coming back from break, we then have an interview with Cody Rhodes, who is pissed off because Rey has been drafted to Raw. I got nothing. Next match, Kofi versus Sheamus. Now, I said last week, and I'm saying it again this week, Sheamus, after getting shoved down our throats the first time around, has been developing a lot slower this time, and I do respect him a lot. Take nothing away from his efforts in this match, but after seeing what Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne did with each other in the Battle Royal, the fact that this match wasn't Kofi versus Evan was an extreme letdown. In the middle of the match, randomly, they announce that next week on Raw is going to be The Rock's birthday. Yay. Kofi Kingston wins. SmackDown gets Randy Orton. So it's like, okay. Cole versus JR is a bunch of bullshit. Cole comes out, or Swagger comes out with Cole. Cole's dressed in the stupid neon orange singlet and looks like a moron. Wastes a bunch of time walking around in circles around JR with his hat on. Then he calls for a timeout, which is retarded. Tries to slam JR, which turns into a JR Luthez press and a beatdown on Cole. King keeps Cole in the ring when he tries to leave, and Swagger jumps King, and it all becomes a big clusterfuck, and basically the match gets thrown out. The most brilliant thing about the entire thing is they pan back to Micheal Cole, who has a bloody lip, and it makes me happy because he looks like he's about to cry. Lawler comes back in after the match and just cleans house on everybody. Jam dings in and announces that the Cole Swagger King JR match at Extreme Rules is now going to be a country whipping match. So I'm sure we're all looking forward to that. That will be the main event, I'm sure. I need Johnny Thunder's notebook. Here. Copyright Johnny Thunder, I guess. Yeah. Where was I? Miz backstage, basically blah 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 blah. I'm going to find a way to win at Extreme Rules, blah blah blah. If I don't, Raw will be cancelled. Yeah. Orton versus Ziggler for 2 draft picks, and I thought this match was really funny because Orton just being drafted to SmackDown, and Ziggler, who just came from SmackDown to Raw like what, a month ago, are now like Ziggler's representing Raw and Orton's representing SmackDown. So it's just, you know, switcheroo, have the match, just change who you're representing for. Orton wins the match, which means SmackDown wins 2 draft picks. But before they can be announced, Punk cuts off the draft pick random machine thing just to trash talk Randy Orton a little bit. We cut to commercials. Commercials include a pretty decent video package for the Del Rio Christian match this Sunday at Extreme Rules, because it is Raw and we're going to promote SmackDown's main event. Because WWE makes sense like that. We come back from the break and realize that SmackDown has gained not only Mark Henry but Sin Cara. Oh yes, they have. Next we have Wade Barrett versus Rey Mysterio, who is brand new to Raw, for another 2 picks. Rey Mysterio, brand new to Raw, already representing Raw, with his red Raw shirt, his blue pants, and his blue mask. Oh yes. Rey Mysterio wins the match, and Raw gets the Big Show and Del Rio, and my phone fucks off because I'm doing a video. So now, I don't know. What the hell did I... We have Mysterio, who's not as great as he used to be, Big Show, who's boring, and Del Rio, who bothers the fuck out of me. I'm sorry, it just became Monday Night SmackDown. Alright, we have a big thank you from WWE to Rev Theory for Justice, which is the theme for Extreme Rules, which is basically an answer to my big problem with WrestleMania and all the poppy, shitty music. We actually have a decent, rocking, aggressive, appropriate song for a bunch of people that are about to kick the shit out of each other. Awesome. Swollen Micheal Cole comes back to the announce booth, and Teddy Long announces the main event will be a 6-man tag for the final pick. My thought was, because all the big names had been switched off earlier in the night, the main event, a 6-man match for 1 draft pick, it had to be Undertaker going to Raw. It had to. That was my thought. That would have made the most sense. That would have made me a happy kid. Get rid of Cena, bring us Undertaker. Make me a happy kid. Obviously, WWE does not work for me. But the match is Punk, Del Rio, and The Miz versus Christian, Mark Henry, and Cena. So we have 5 main eventers and Mark Henry, who comes down to the ring rather, world's strongest man in the world's largest SmackDown shirt. That's about the end of that. They announced before the match starts that the draft will continue tomorrow on WWE.com. So, yeah. Match goes on. Mark Henry takes out his own teammates. So I guess he's going on a heel turn. Raw wins. Raw gets Cena back. Really? Really? Oh my god. My only thought to do with this, with Alberto DelRio coming to Raw, and all 3 of the triple threat guys that are in the cage match for the WWE title staying on Raw. The WWE title is staying on Raw, so Christian has to win the ladder match and keep the World Heavyweight title on SmackDown. That's the only thing that makes me happy. The other thing is, there was a lot of camaraderie shown between Alex Riley, The Miz, CM Punk, and Del Rio at the end of this match. So if they become some massive, arrogant faction, I might just love it. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, that is your recap for the 25th of April. So now, to look it down one more time, Team SmackDown defeats Team Raw in the Battle Royal. Eve defeats Layla and nobody cares. Kofi defeats Sheamus. Cole and JR are stupid for a while to a no contest. Orton defeats Ziggler, and Team Raw defeats Team SmackDown in the 6-man tag. Rey goes to Raw. Big Show goes to Raw. Del Rio goes to Raw. Orton, Mark Henry, and Sin Cara go to SmackDown. That's where we are right now. Alright, score, fail, and MVP. I said when I first started doing these I was going to try to have 1 point for each, so that's definitely not going to happen, but the scores, the things that I liked about tonight's Raw. The Truth Morrison story is progressing famously. They're not pushing it down our throats, they're letting it go naturally. And the two of them, I think the two of them have generic good chemistry together. They worked well as a tag team. I think they'll work equally well against each other. I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm happy that they're not tossing this rivalry immediately onto the next pay-per-view, giving it a chance to actually grow, which is awesome. On a personal note, seeing Cole get his lip busted open, big score for me. Evan and Kofi Kingston's participation in the Battle Royal, as I said before, there was a wicked little bit of cruiserweight type interaction, which we don't see very much of in the WWE as such, so that was good. Also, I'm going to say Ziggler and Orton, match of the night. Going to the fails, going back to the Battle Royal once again, starting a match before the show actually starts and bringing us into the show with the match already in progress doesn't make the match seem very important, especially when it's something like a Battle Royal, which is just kind of a mess. Anyways, another fail, the Eve Layla match. Now, I'm not trying to say that the Divas are in any way an important big part of WWE right now, but every match tonight indicated a draft pick. A draft pick was the theme of the night. The draft pick itself was completely overshadowed by Lay Cool's bullshit and Micheal Cole's bullshit. So 2 layers of bullshit instead of focusing on what the point of the night was. Big fail. 5 different commentators were used tonight. Cole started, Josh Matthews started, and the King started. JR came out to fight Cole, so JR came out and Cole stopped announcing. They brought in Booker T halfway through. Josh Matthews was there. The King was there off and on. The announcer thing just needs to stop. And another personal thing of mine, Del Rio being on Raw just means that he's not going away, or solidifies that he's not going away, which I know already, but I really just fucking don't like him. He is the Mexican JBL, and he needs to fuck off. MVP of the night, even though he didn't win his match against Orton, MVP of the night was Dolph Ziggler. He was the other half of the match of the night, in my opinion, and anybody that can look as good as he did against somebody as good as Randy Orton definitely deserves the recognition. So that's about all I have to say. This is your review of April 25th Monday Night Raw / WWE Draft. I hope you liked it. Subscribe up there, talk down there, don't be a stranger, and I will talk to you later.